Hi, I'm Keith Schwartz. Welcome to my tape on the yellow belt requirements for judo. The belt ranking system in the martial arts was invented by Dr. Jigoro Kano, who is the founder of judo, and therefore we want to keep the standards very high. The techniques you'll learn in this tape will put you in good stead with any judo club in the world. The first technique we're going to cover is called Han Shizentai, and it's basic natural stance. Stances are important in any martial art, but none more so than judo, where your balance is under attack every second. You want to put your feet in Han Shizentai slightly wider than shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent, and the hands can be resting at the sides, in fists, or in a fighting position. Okay, the next stance is Migi Shizentai. That's right natural stance. Migi means right. Shizentai is the stance, or the body posture. The right foot leads. Again, the knees are bent, relaxed, hips over the feet, shoulders over the hips. Hands at the sides, in fists, or again in a fighting stance. Reversing the procedure, we go to Hidari Shizentai. Again, the hands in three positions. Now I'd like to demonstrate kumikata, or the basic gripping procedures of judo. The first grip we'll learn for yellow belt requirement is a basic sleeve and lapel grip. I'll grab Ed's lapel right up about at the collarbone. And conversely, he'll grab my lapel in the same spot. I grab his sleeve just above his elbow. Okay? All the throws that we're going to be covering in this tape can be applied very, very safely and very effectively from this stance. Therefore, it's important you both learn this stance and this grip. All right, thank you. Okay, the next thing we want to move on to is how to move around. In martial arts, mobility is a key to success. What you have to do is maintain a strong fighting stance as much as possible. Be very defensive while creating your offense. You want to maneuver your body just as an army would maneuver its troops to be in the most favorable position for attack. Always keeping your weapons, your hands, your feet, your head, facing your opponent as much as possible, and try to divert his weapons away as much as possible. All right, the first step we're going to use is called sugiashi, and it's slide stepping. And it's one of the best ways to keep your fighting stance and get mobility on the mat. What I want to do is from Migi Shizentai, or right natural stance, I'll allow the lead foot to come forward just slightly and to bring the back foot up and again return to the fighting stance. Advancing. Retreating. Notice I always lead with the foot in the direction that I want to travel in. So if I want it to travel to the right side, the right foot leads. If I travel to the left side, the left foot leads. And all these stances and all these motions must be learned right and left side. All right, now I want to show some application for sugiashi, slide stepping. If Ed was right here and he attempted to grip me, we say in judo, Phil Porter, who is the president of USJ, says, grip first, attack instantly. Make all attacks terminal attacks. Well, to grip first and attack instantly, I have to make sure he doesn't grip me before I grip him. He reaches for me, slide step. All right? If I want to get in on him, slide step. All right? If I'm thinking about attacking while he's still thinking about gripping, I'm going to be the winner. All right, thank you, Ed. Okay, the next way we have to move is we have to be able to turn our bodies. And Tai Sabaki is the study of pivots in judo. Turning your body is essential for most of the judo throws, as well as for a lot of the arm locking techniques. The Tai Sabaki that is required for yellow belt promotion is to be able to advance 90 degrees and to retreat 90 degrees. Again, advancing, coming back to your fighting stance. If I was in Migi Shizentai, or right natural stance, and I was pivoting 90 degrees, this is where I'd be. If I was retreating 90 degrees, this is where I'd be. When you tie them together with an advance and a retreat, you can get a two-step 180, which for many forward throws is the key way to get into the throw. You step forward 90 degrees, retreat 90 degrees. Step forward, retreat. Okay, and if somebody's charging you, what you want to do is retreat and then step forward. Okay, let's see some application, Ed. If I'm here, you can play very defensive. Okay? I'm here and I have to set up a throw. I have to get into a position to throw him. So if I want to throw him with a forward throw, I'm going to have to step in 90, be over 90. Then I'm in position to throw. And we'll cover the stages of a throw in a little bit. But right now I just want you to see how the pivots work. If Ed tries to advance on me, I can retreat and then advance. And again, throw him with a forward throw. Okay, thank you. All right, now there's another aspect to motion, and that is kazushi, or off-balancing. Every time you commit your body to motion, you are in a state of off-balance. You're in a state of flux. In fact, just to stand still takes millions of impulses from your brain to the muscles in your body. What you want to do with kazushi, or balance breaking, is nothing mystical. It's one of the hardest parts of judo to understand, but it really shouldn't be. It's quite basic. What you want to do is to get a person in an off-balance position, as I said earlier, where they feel they must take a step, and attack them before they realize they're in an off-balance position. All right, there's 8 basic directions for off-balancing, and we'll demonstrate those again with Ed. All right, the fundamental basic stance for fighting would be a diagonal stance. But to demonstrate the off-balancing position, I'll ask him to take Hansha Zentai, basic natural stance. Notice here he has no defense against a push. If his feet remain there, he must place a foot to remain standing. Conversely, if I pull. The human animal is a biped. It's instinctive. He's been training on this since he was a little baby, walking out of the crib, to place a foot where he's falling. In judo, we take advantage of that. If I pull him, take a big step. If I pull you. And I take his foot out from under where he's stepping. We want to get the feeling for him that he's walking on marbles or that he took a step a little bit too far. Okay, now if I push him and he tries to put a foot back, I can make that foot stick. And again, throw. All right. Aside from changing his stance, there's another way to attack him, and that is to change his posture, and therefore break his balance. If I cause his body to bend here, his stance hasn't changed, but he's much more unstable to the front. Okay? If I lift him up on his toes, he's much more unstable to the front. If I push him onto his heels, he's got even less of a base on his toes, and he becomes extremely unstable to the back. If I pull against him and get him to crouch and pull against me, and I was to suddenly disappear, let go of your grip, where would he go? So if we can change the shape of his body as well as changing his stance, we create opportunities. We create a balance-breaking effect called kazushi. It can be either his motions that do it, or it can be mine. For my motions, I have to generate a force. My force is generated either by changing my stance. In other words, if I want to drive him back, I plant a driver leg and push. If I want to pull him, I can create a driver leg in front and push against it. To the sides, simply put a driver to the right to throw to this side, his right, or vice versa. All right, another way I can create the force that you need to generate kazushi is to change the shape of my body. Just as we took advantage of this change of posture of his body, what I'll do if I want to push him, I can keep my stance the same. I don't have to throw a driver leg back. I'll arch my body forward and create a push. Without changing my stance, I can pull by sinking back. Pulling in. Using again, don't overuse the arms. A normal judo match is 4 or 5 minutes. If you try to do your kazushi simply doing this, your arms are going to be lead weights 3 minutes into the match, even if you're in good shape. Okay, and that's the basics of kazushi. Now, his stance when he's in a diagonal is stronger forward and backward. But it's not so strong to the corners. We've discussed if he's in normal stance, he's very weak, forward and backward. His base is a little longer, turn your body. His base is longer this way, but I can still take him to these outside corners. Okay? His foot will do one of two things. It will either lock onto the ground, the knee will lock out, in which case I can push him over it, or the leg will collapse, in which case he goes down anyway. So we've got 4 directions so far. There's a few more. There's 8 basic directions, and that's the corners. The corners are important because we have a diagonal fighter. He always stands in a diagonal stance. We're going to have to attack to where his base is short or catch him on one foot. Notice when you catch him with a forward or backwards kazushi, he still has 2 feet to fight from. If you catch him long side, it takes a little more energy to do it, but you catch him on one foot. Much harder for him to defend against your attacks. So the corner directions are to the rear corner, short side balance, to the rear corner, long side balance, to the front corner, long side balance, and to the front corner, short side balance. And notice every time I pull him, he feels compelled to take a step. Okay? When you get used to doing this, as you'll see in the throws, especially the foot throws, you're going to have a lot of fun looking down at the person who might be a 1.5 feet taller than you. And you're going to realize that judo really is an effective martial art. All right, now I'm going to show how you can apply the study of kazushi to make your throws more effective. Throws can be done without trying to break the balance first. But just as my friend Hal Lubert says, an airplane can use a lot of jet power and get off the ground without wings, but it's a hell of a lot more effective with wings. And what we want to do is be as effective as possible in judo. Maximum efficiency is one of the key elements of judo. All right, the first thing I'll do is try to break his balance to his right-left corner. His stance is going to make it hard for me to stick him with the right front corner. I'll have to pull him on his long base. So what I want to do is to get him on his short base. That is, if you were to draw a line between his big toes, when you throw this way or this way, you're throwing along the long base. If you intersect that line at 90 degrees, you're throwing along the short base. So I'm going to apply a left side Ippon Seoinagi. All right, we'll move so we'll see it a little better. All right, I'll pull, take the step, and throw. All right, left and right stance. All right, now I'll apply a throw to the long base, right front corner. I'll pull him out to the side, take a step, and throw. So that was the first throw was against a short base, and it was a roller technique. The second throw was against a long base, and it was a driver technique. And we'll get into rollers and drivers a little bit later. Now to the back against a right natural stance. Attacking against the short base and driving to the corner, I'll attack with a technique called kouchi makikomi, which is a wraparound technique. Notice what I'm doing with my driver leg. I'm creating that force, that kazushi I'm talking about. 45-degree angle is the optimum angle for placing a stance-changing kazushi. Beyond that, you lose control. He should be going onto the ground when you're this far. Okay? Less than that, if I try to come in here, I haven't created kazushi at all. I've created a situation where I'll be countered. To attack to his far long base, I'll take left side osoto gake. So basically what you can think of is four fundamental directions. You see where his feet are, you draw that imaginary line between his toes, intersect it at 90 degrees, you've got four distinct possibilities for your throws. The next phase of the yellow belt test is ukemi. Ukemi is the falling ways in judo. We do a lot of throwing in judo, more than just about any martial art I can think of. And if we want to keep people on the mats and coming back to learn more technique, they have to learn how to fall safely. Ukemi uses the theory that the limbs, the forearm, the hand, and the legs are tougher parts of the body than the shoulders, the kidneys, the ribs. And what we want to do is to take the fall and roll through it as much as possible, and also use the limbs like whips to crack out onto the mat at the instant before body impact. And that will absorb the shock of the throw. And your hands and feet can handle a lot of punishment on the mat. It's a little different story throwing on the hard ground. In self-defense, you'll find judo is one of the most effective fighting arts you can learn. The same throws that we get up from routinely on a concrete surface can be really damaging. All right, in ukemi, the basic technique we'll learn is koho ukemi, or back fall. It's in some ways the most frightening fall to take because it's a blind fall. You can't see where you're going. And that's why we teach it first. Once people get past that subconscious mound of not knowing quite where the mat is, but learning through timing, they build a lot of confidence, and it helps keep them on the mats. Koho ukemi, first we want to roll through, get comfortable with the mat, learn the distance, right from a sitting position. All right, always try to be more like a ball rather than a flat board hitting the mat. All right? Okay, now we tuck in our head, look at the knot of your belt if you're wearing a gi. You can cross your hands in front, keep your fingers and your thumb in. Okay, don't spread them wide. And strike with the palm down and this surface of the forearm. So crossing. Again, slap as hard as you can because you want to absorb the shock of a throw. All right? Remember to tuck in the head, really important. Don't want to get your bell rung. All right, now we're going to bring that up to a squatting position. Right from here. Again, the hands crossed and roll back. Try to get up without posting with your hands. You build your abdominal muscles. It's very important for throwing. Again, squatting. Here. And again. Let yourself roll through as much as possible. After you've got the basics for the back fall, now we can begin the side fall technique. And again, we'll start from a sitting position. On side fall, you're going to see the mat out of the corner of your eye, so it's not quite as difficult to learn. Again. And to the right. All right, now what we're going to do is roll ourselves up onto our shoulders, come down with the hand and the feet. So you roll up, come down to the side, up, to the other side, alternating. It's a good way to train on yoko ukemi. Now we bring it up again to a squatting position. Just like we're sitting in a chair, we're going to bring a leg across the front, just like a leg was knocked out of the chair. Roll through your ball to the other side. When you slap in either koho or yoko ukemi, remember to keep your hands down by your hips. If you reach out way up here, what's going to happen is the shock of the fall will be right at your neck and your shoulders. It should be down by the hips for either one. The next falling technique is zempo ukemi, or forward fall. This one is really important to know, especially for competitive judo players. The reason is, if I can throw a person, even if it looks like a perfect throw, if he can turn out and land in a forward fall, there's no score given in competition judo. The self-defense benefit of this is, obviously, if you're thrown onto your spinal cord onto the hard surface, there's no telling what's going to happen. If you're able to turn out and land this way, you're guaranteed to be hurt a lot less. So zempo ukemi is first practiced from a kneeling position. Drive yourself forward, and this one takes tremendous timing. You don't want to land on the point of your elbow. You want to slap, again, with the hand and the forearm and absorb the shock of the fall. The elbows are flared out just slightly. Okay, so the hands, after you get used to that from squatting, and finally from a standing position. All right, the final falling technique for yellow belt, zempo kaiten ukemi. That's forward roll fall. From migai shizentai, migai shizentai is right natural stance. Crouch down into a squatting position. Put your hand down with the fingers turned inward. Whenever you post with your hands on a mat, be it mat work or falling technique or what have you, never post with the fingers out. What happens is the elbow locks out, and I've seen too many people damage their arms this way. You can have shoulder injuries, elbow injuries, ripped ligaments, what have you. Always post in. The arm will naturally bend. It will naturally collapse. You're here, and then here. Put these fingers straight ahead. This toe straight ahead. You roll in the direction of that big toe. And you're going to push first off the left foot and finally off the right foot. Here's the technique. Down to a crouch, here. Notice where my feet are. Notice my hands. The slap, the guard hand, not crossing the feet and not having one further than the other. There's danger in this, you can injure the knee. Keep them coming out like whips. Knees slightly bent. Don't overextend, don't underextend. Again, right natural stance. Place the hands, tuck in the head, and push. After you've gotten used to the squatting zempo kaiten, you start from a standing position, from han shizentai, taking a step and making the fall. All falling techniques should be learned right and left side. All right, now I'd like to bring my assistants, Ed and Lowell, and we'll demonstrate how some of the ukemi, the falling techniques, can be practiced with a partner. All right, Lowell, if you could take a hands and knees position. The first technique was koho ukemi, or back fall. Ed will sit on his back and let himself slide over. All right, note what Ed's doing. He's letting himself slide over as far as possible before he releases from the back. You don't want to be sitting in this position and launch yourself back, because you're going to end up right on your neck. Let yourself slide through. Okay, why don't you practice that a few more times. Okay, you reached out a little further than I would have liked to see with the hands. Try to keep them at your hips. A back fall from this technique makes it a little bit tougher to do that, but consciously try that. Keep your head tucked in. Better. All right. Stand up, please. All right, now another way to practice back fall for more advanced players is Ed's going to have to keep his feet solidly planted on the ground, and he's not going to be able to take a step. His subconscious is going to say step when Lowell lets go, but he has to tell his feet to stand still. Lowell's not going to let him know when he's going to let go in this drill, and Ed has to time his fall. Begin. Good. Again. Okay. All right. Now we'll move on to Yoko Kemi, our side fall. In Yoko Kemi, he'll take a military push-up position. Okay, and very slowly, okay, Ed's going to reach across underneath his body. Lowell will take a grip with both hands, and it's important that you don't pull fast on this hand. What can happen is if you jerk on that hand, you can damage his shoulder. So slowly he'll pull it straight up. Ed will swirl around and slap into a side fall technique. Okay, good. Again. Okay, other side. Stay where you are. Other side. Low. All right, you notice he's on line with his hip. Good. All right, now that we've gained a little confidence with Yoko Kemi, we want to take it up to the next level. So what Ed will do is cross grip way up on Lowell's lapel, right up at the nape of his neck. And what Lowell has to do is support his shoulder blade area with his backhand, and with his right hand he can grab a hold of his gi very tightly. And Ed has to have a lot of confidence in Lowell's ability to support him so he doesn't land on his head, because what Ed's going to do is commit himself to throwing his feet up in the air as high as possible. All right, and this is how the drill looks. Okay, Lowell supports him all the way down. Practicing both right and left sides again. Kemi is important to learn in both directions because you never know what direction a person will be throwing you. Now for Zempo Kemi, the one that avoids the score. Again, we start with the same drill as Koho Kemi. Oh, no, you stand up. All right, grab his lapels. For this drill, Ed not only has to slap when he releases, he has to time a pivot. So he turns and lands with the chest facing the mat rather than his back. So again, Lowell's going to lower him. The moment he releases, Ed goes into action. Practices both directions. Okay, the application for this is very evident if I apply a technique such as Ouchigari. All right, and now for some drills on Zempo Kaitenu Kemi, the forward roll fall. The hands and knees. For this technique, we want Lowell's back to be as straight as possible. We want him to create a large pocket underneath his body. So he wants to rise as far as possible. Good. Ed will grab the nape of the neck right back here. That's going to be his controlling hand. Okay, that's his safety valve. If he's going too fast, this is what he pulls on to slow down. His head and his arm will snake around underneath Lowell, and he'll let his body snake around Lowell's body just as he did on the back falling techniques, and then he'll release with this grip and slap with it for a roll fall. Good. Notice the feet. One's not further out than the other. Try to keep them on a straight line. Good. Again. And one final time. Excellent. All right, when you've gotten confidence with this, you begin a flying roll fall. And what we're going to do with you, Lowell, is to bring you over here. And what you want to do with this technique, on the right side, you'll place the right foot, drive off the right foot, and try not to touch your partner's body at all. All right, again. Okay, again. This time, low, turn around. Okay, this time, other side. And again. Okay, good, thank you. Ukemi, we spend a lot of time on it, but it's really important. It's a building block of your judo. If you don't know how to fall, you're not going to stay on the mats very long, and we want to keep you coming back. The fundamentals we've covered thus far have brought us up to the point where we can now begin to work on the actual fighting techniques of judo. The throws of judo are probably the most famous aspect of judo, and that's the first thing we're going to cover. With my assistant Ed, the first throws that we require in training in my club and the throws that are required for promotion to yellow belt are the first kill or the first stage of the Gokyo no Waza, which is 5 stages of technique in judo. It's a total of 40 throws. Beyond the 40 is the Shimeso no Waza, the newly certified techniques. And then when you get to black belt level, there are techniques that have been born in competition that are not yet recognized by the Kodokan. All right, the first technique is Dayashi Harai. Dayashi Harai is advancing foot sweep. And a sweeper throw is a technique where you get the man in motion and sweep the bottom out from the top. Okay? And there are 4 specific throwing modes that I have recognized and that I teach my students, and we'll be covering those as we approach them in the throws. This throw is a sweeper technique, and we both start with a standard grip in a right natural stance, and this is the way we learn this technique. We step back, and he mirror steps with me. He mirror steps, I side step, bring him through, and pull him into it. Bring him through and pull him into it. On advancing foot sweep, you want to make him feel as if he stepped in a drop-off. He's wading through the water and he stepped into a 20-foot drop-off. That's exactly how you want him to feel. It's especially effective if he walks out with his foot heel to toe. If you lock him here, you can catch him. Now, there's a window of time in foot sweeps. Sweeper throws demand more timing than any other aspect of, or any other mode of throwing. You want to get him as he's taking the step before he's planted the foot. Okay? So you have to get fast by going slow. You practice throws slowly several times until you can work up speed. Okay, so the steps are slowly, driving his foot back, pulling it forward, nice and slow. Driving it back, pulling it forward, driving it back, sidestepping with the right foot to get my right foot out of the way, pulling him forward, sweeping, and steering the hands so he lands on his back. The elbow grip pulls straight down. That's called the locking hand. That ensures that he'll end up on his back. The power hand is going to push him down onto his back. Sometimes if he steps and you can catch him with good timing and your hands work like a steering wheel, you can actually throw him just with hand motion alone. But what we want to do is have this whole thing work in harmony so that when he steps forward, the foot sweeps as the hands steer. And we've got 3 limbs turning his body. Okay? This is a good point to talk about what your different limbs do in a throw and the role they play. In most throws, you're going to have a locking hand, which in this case is the sleeve grip, that ensures he lands on his back. A power hand, which will transmit the drive from the driver leg, and a driver leg, which we just referred to, which pushes off the mat to transmit the energy for the throw, and then an attacking leg. In some throws, you keep both feet planted, and they can both be driver legs. But in a foot sweep, obviously one leg is going to be doing the sweep, and that is the attacking leg. So again, this technique is done step, step, step to the side, and sweep. And we'll turn 90 degrees. Step, 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 inside with the right foot, and sweep. And sweep. It's important to step to the right foot to get it out of the way because you don't want to get in the way of your own throw. If I keep that right foot there, stepping with him, and then try my sweep, I'm going to run into my own foot. So it has to get out of the way for the sweep to come through. So again, step, step, step. All right, now Hizaguruma is knee wheel throw, and that's the next technique. In our club, we call this high foot prop, and it's a driver technique which is the opposite of a sweeper technique. A sweeper technique, which you just saw, I swept the bottom out from the top. This is the top of his body, and I just swept it out. He had nothing to stand on, down he went. The object of a driver is to stop the bottom, move the top. Okay, so the sweepers take movement of his stance. Okay, it's very hard to attack a man posted in a very defensive stance. Very hard to sweep a man with his feet posted tightly to the ground. They stick. But it opens the door for driver throws. If he sticks his foot into the ground, then you just keep it there, drive him beyond his base, either short or long, and make your throw. For Hizaguruma, or high foot prop, what I'll do is I'll step way out to the side with my right foot, and I'm going to bring my left foot. Let's turn around so we can see this a little better. Diagonally. Okay. My left foot will be pronated so that the base of the foot will be just over the kneecap, just on top. We want it to rest in the nook of the lower thigh. Right there. We want to lock out the knee as much as possible. The hands work differently than in Daishirai. In Daishirai, they turn this way. In Hizaguruma, they come out this way. What you're doing is you're drawing him long along his base. Propping the knee prevents him from taking a step forward on his base to recover his balance. So, I step to the side, and it's really important that I point the right foot inward. If I keep the foot this way, try to turn my body into the throw, the knee will lock out. So it's important I point the foot at him. Now I can turn my body much further and make the technique. Also notice I'm setting up that angle of attack I discussed earlier. All right. Step here, prop. Prop. And you'll notice the prop only has to be there for a second. If it stops him just for that moment he wants to take the step, the prop can come back down and go back to your stance as he's being thrown. So you notice I just have to catch it for a split second, and then it comes back down to the ground. And one more time for his agreement. All right. Sasai Tsurukomiyashi. It's a low foot prop, and the motions are exactly the same as Hizaguruma. But the difference is you're using a greater leverage. Rather than attacking at the knee, we're attacking right down here on his instep. All right, and the object is the same. I was left side. I'll do everything right side for the purposes of the tape. I encourage you to learn as much judo right and left side as possible. Throws, you're going to tend to go either right or left side because most people, people that aren't ambidextrous have a stronger, better coordinated side, and that's the side they should play judo. As Erwin Cohen, a former Olympic teammate, said, he catches the ball righty, he eats righty, sleeps righty, he should play judo righty. All right, so Sasai, we prop lower. Again, it's important to turn the foot. You have to make a nice propping, just as if he tripped over the handle of a rake. It can't give. You drive him over that. Again, the driver leg has to turn in towards him so you can rotate through the throw. Watch the hands on this one.